Follow me into the night. Close your eyes and see.
I go to nightclubs because just the music and the atmosphere, it's nice. When you're feeling kind of down, you usually go out with friends and you get drunk and you have a good night out.
Sometimes you want to go there because all your friends are going and it's a good way to socialise. Sometimes you want to go there because, I don't know, you might have got a new dress and you want to go out and show it off. And sometimes it's something to do. As students, you're stuck in these tiny little rooms. If you don't go clubbing at night, what else is there to do?
I think it's just a nice environment and it's a good atmosphere for most students anyway.
I try to avoid Oceania like the plague.
I don't go to places like Oceania. They're very big and they have a lot of chart music, which is the most popular kind of music, so it brings loads of people in. Like, the capacity for Oceania is huge. So I think that's why you get a lot of that crowd.
The drunker I get, the safer I feel, which is probably the opposite. As a girl, I can't say that I can go out in Kingston feeling safe at all before or after everything happened in Oceania.
I'm quite naive, so I kind of I'll be fine. I mean, somebody got stabbed to death and murdered. That won't be me. That's kind of my way of thinking, but I know London's a pretty scary place, especially in Central. Kingston not so much, even though that just happened.
About the crimes in Oceania, there's been quite a few, and I read in the magazine the other day that 25% of Kingston's crimes is caused by Oceania, the nightclub. I wouldn't feel safe if I go there now after what happened.
The guy that recently got stabbed in Oceania, I've read that it wasn't a random stabbing, it was like some people who knew each other. So I think, like, as a criminology student, like, what I learned is that most crime isn't really random, and so if you keep safe and you're cautious and you know not to get into trouble, then you can be safe anywhere you go.
I guess if you're surrounded by your friends, and I wouldn't say I'm a confrontational person generally or an aggressive person, so I'd never tend to get involved in any sort of problems on a night out.
I went to Greece and there they didn't have any security checks, and it felt safer because it felt there was no need for security checks.
There's lots of red tape in this country surrounding, like, health and safety. If you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like over the top. You can't do a single thing without like a billion health and safety checks, which is why apparently you need your ID even if you look about 50.
Normally you have like a scanner that you can put your ID card into to make sure that it's a real ID, so that it's registered on like the database for like passports or driving licences.
Even before the stabbing, it was sort of similar, but after the stabbing, as well as the metal detectors and people checking you all over, they make you take off your belts and anything else that's metal on you, and like they get 2 people to check you rather than 1, so that's how it's more thorough.
You know, coffee, don't you?
Boys in nightclubs are gross, pathetic little boys, and I don't like them. And then females in nightclubs are bitchy little sluts. So I try to avoid them at all costs.
The more people you have, the percentage of dangerous sort of like violent people is going to be that much more.
I must admit, when you're waiting out in the cold and people are taking a long time to get in, it is frustrating because, you know, you just want to get in as quick as you can.
It's such a big venue, and the doormen, they don't have time to check every single person like thoroughly.
One thing people never see is the management. They're the ones who tell you they want the job done. As we all know, Oceania, it can be a very busy place, security, we have a lot of stress, we're dealing with hundreds of people night in, night out, and the management want those people in quickly as possible. It's money to them. So we've got them breathing down the backs, you know, our necks, pushing us, get them in faster. This is when mistakes are going to happen, of course. Personally, I don't think you can blame anyone in particular, though, apart from the man that decided to take somebody's life.
People take stuff in all the time, even if it's just like drugs. People sneak those in through like chewing gum and like all sorts, and people can get really dangerous.
It looks like it's really hard to get anything in, but like if you've got a wallet or like in your socks or whatever, you could put a knife or you can put anything, like any sharp weapon or anything, and they won't catch you because they don't really check in your socks. And when you take your wallets out and you put it on the side, that doesn't go through the metal detector, so they would never know, and they don't ever check inside the wallets either. So
we try and take away anything that could cause damage to another person, but unfortunately the only way people would feel 100% safe is if everyone was bloody naked. But it could have happened in any venue where security was relaxed or non-existent. There's no way to stop these things from happening, as bad as it sounds, and this is unfortunately the type of world that we live in, mate.
I think it's to do with just sort of the culture of people our age at the minute. Generally, there is quite a lot of violence, and there's a big alcohol and drug culture with our age group.
trouble comes to those who kind of look for it, if you know what I mean. Like the guy that got stabbed was dubbed Bullet. So one can only assume as to the circles that he hangs out with and the kind of things he gets up to.